Welcome to Rawson Connection, a podcast about all things Lehigh engineering, coming to you from the PC Rawson College of Engineering and Applied Science at Lehigh University. Today, we've got a special episode for you. It's about the many ways that Lehigh is bringing engineering and all its wonder, delight, discovery, and opportunity to kids of all ages.
When you get to love your job, that's pretty cool.
That's Kaya Wilbers, and that job she loves is being the program manager for the PC Rawson College of Engineering and Applied Science. And being program manager means that Kaya does, well, way too many things to go through in a single podcast episode, but one very important, very influential, and let's be honest, life-changing thing that she does is outreach. Specifically, connecting Lehigh with local schools.
So really when a school contacts us and says, hey, I have this need of bringing engineering into my classroom, we then go back to our faculty, our student clubs, even staff and say, hey, who's interested in this? For example, I had a school reach out to me saying, we're finishing a unit on space. What do you have for us that we could bring space and engineering together to do like an end of unit activity?
Now, Lehigh's been doing outreach like this for years with programs like Choices, which is a STEM initiative for middle school girls that Kaya also runs, and the Summer Engineering Institute, an overnight engineering camp for high school kids. Lately, though, Kaya and her team of faculty and students have been working on how to bring Lehigh and the world of engineering to all ages.
We've done 3 different preschools. So technically, we are preschool through 12th grade in serving our local community.
So what does that service look like? Let's take the class of kindergartners who just wrapped up a unit on space. Kaya showed up with quite possibly the coolest presentation ever, because she could share the experiences of Terry Hart, who is a Lehigh alum, a professor of mechanical engineering and mechanics and aerospace engineering, and a former NASA astronaut.
And the students are like, wait, this guy works at your school where you work? And I said, yeah, I talked to him yesterday. It was so cool. And they're like, they just thought it was the coolest thing that an astronaut is somebody that I talk to on a normal basis. And then all the things that he did in outer space, they didn't know that that was something that could be a job.
Those kids didn't just sit through a presentation on one of the coolest jobs on the planet. After they learned what an aerospace engineer does, they got to build their own rockets.
And we had a little competition in their gym on how high their rocket would go and how far their rocket would go. But the whole thing is we want them to be creative problem solvers, right? So we just gave them a box of supplies and like 10 minutes. And we're like, think through the engineering process. Do you have to think about weight? Do you have to think about what's going to come into contact with, like how high the ceiling is? But it was really fun watching them, just their faces light up as they're like chucking their homemade rockets like up into the air. They're like, chucking these rockets up.
For Kaya's team, no kid is too young, and no topic is too complex. Maybe you think that preschoolers can't handle coding? You'd be wrong.
So with this age level, we had to go to basic, what is an engineer? We took it from the viewpoint of what is a community helper. And in this case, a community helper could be an engineer. So some engineers, such as computer science engineers and electrical engineers, you use binary code to talk to computers. So we talked about like what that looks like. But I wasn't the only one who went. I had a group of 5 Society of Women Engineer undergraduate volunteers that came with me. And they worked in small groups with these 4-year-olds, putting together these binary codes, and they spelled out the word love using beads. Binary code, 0s were the brown bead, 1s were the white bead. So it met them on their preschool level, but also introduced them to the very basics of binary code. And then they got a really cool keychain to take home that spelled the word love.
When it comes to her youngest audiences, Kaya usually kicks off her talks by asking, what does an engineer do?
You always have one kid that says, they work on cars. And then the other one says, they're the person who runs a train. Every single time. Those are the 2 answers. And now, again, they're 4-year-olds, so it's really adorable. But then you say, yes, but engineers are really creative problem solvers. I said, have you ever had a problem that you had to really think about and you had to solve this problem? And they're like, yeah. And then I go, okay, how many of you have played on a tablet or on your parents' phone or anything like that, or turned something on? And, they all raised their hands. I said, well, did you know you have to thank an engineer for that? And they're just like, whoa, you're just broadening their view of what life is.
If it sounds like Kaya missed her calling, don't worry. She was a teacher.
So I have a dual degree for early childhood and elementary education. And then I was a teacher for 7 years. So I taught preschool for a year. I taught a 5th grade and 6th grade combined class for 2 years. And then I had a few years of middle school and high school science. So I've taught the whole scale. And now I'm in higher ed. So I've always had this huge passion for hands-on, engaging learning. And to combine that with my love of STEM has just really been fulfilling.
That kind of learning, working with your hands and trying and failing and trying again, can have a huge impact on young minds.
These type of outreach initiatives, I think, have a lot of great benefits. My name is Ana Alexandrescu. I'm a professor of practice at Lehigh University in the Industrial and Systems Engineering department.
Ana also leads outreach efforts for systems engineering, which means she and Kaya collaborate a lot. Ana is one of the many Lehigh professors who participates in Choices, doing workshops during the one-day spring event and the week-long summer day camp, introducing middle school girls to the range of engineering disciplines. For her workshop, Ana used role-playing to teach the girls how systems engineering could streamline the workload of a busy hospital emergency department.
So we had some students that were playing doctors and nurses and radiology technicians, and then the rest of the students were patients showing up at the emergency department. And the challenge was to figure out, how do we get our emergency department to run smoothly so we don't have people waiting for a very long time to be seen. We try to talk about things like bottlenecks and load balancing and some of these things that you can do with a lot of math later on when you learn them as a college student, but for now, intuitively, they were able actually to come up with very good solutions to try to make that emergency department run better. And I remember a specific student, and she was really surprised that you could be an engineer and not build physical things. So we had a whole conversation about what engineering is, about problem solving, about teamwork, about coming up with solutions. And this was, I want to say, the first experience she had that opened her mind that engineering is not about building something, it's about finding solutions to problems. That was one of those moments that I'm like, yeah, this is why I do this.
Jennifer Winnicus is an associate professor in the Department of Electrical and Computer Engineering, who also does a lot of outreach work with Kaya. And she does it because, well, for one, it's fun. But she also sees it as a chance to knock down a few engineering stereotypes.
Unfortunately, most of society doesn't fully understand what engineering is. So when you say engineering, they probably think bridges. They don't think the nuances of pacemakers or robots to assist with medical technologies, tools to help socialize children with autism. Those are some of the broad ranges that engineering can take you that aren't known. Plus, the whole what an engineer looks like is always a great one, because we're not that way anymore. We're diverse from all over the place, all different backgrounds and cultures.
Like Ana, Jennifer runs a workshop during Choices, where she introduces girls to soldering.
They would look at it and it's kind of scary until you explain to them it's not much harder than a curling iron. And you can also use it to make stained glass. So once it was rephrased as something that was an art form, it was more than just putting components together. Like, they were more relaxed, which is the idea that there is a place for everyone in engineering.
While Lehigh faculty are a big part of Kaya's outreach team, it's Lehigh students who are most often by her side, in classrooms, in school gyms, at career fairs. And it doesn't take a whole lot of convincing on Kaya's part either, because as Lehigh engineering students, they know the value of experiential learning.
Every time I bring a group of students to something, they turn around and they go, 1, that was so much fun. 2, I wish someone would have done that for me, or I would have had something like this when I was their age, because I would have gone so much further. Like, that's huge. They're already top tier people. And for them to say, I wish I would have had this, I would have done so much more. Like, that's cool. So they really learn to appreciate that they're doing something that's going to inspire future makers.
And it's not just the K through 12 future makers who benefit from having Lehigh students in their classes. Their teachers do too.
It is really difficult as a teacher to try to plan out your entire year, all your curriculum, and then go, oh yeah, I should really do some enrichment pieces. A lot of times teachers have to do that all by themselves, and they may not have any resources. They're planning on their own time. That's a lot of work for teachers. And I know that because I've been there. I've had to do that.
Kaya says teachers in Pennsylvania are working hard to accommodate new standards in STEM education. And Lehigh students are trying to make that task an easier one by creating free lesson plans that reflect those new standards.
Our Lehigh students are engaging with local teachers to hear their needs and then working with me to create these lessons. I was talking to a teacher about this and how we have a group of students who are specifically working with computer science steel standards and creating lesson plans to be implemented into the classroom. And they're like, oh my gosh, like that's what I need. Can you introduce me? And luckily one of the students was with me and I'm like, hey, come on over here. Like, come talk to this teacher. Tell her what you've been doing. And they're like, we want to be your guinea pigs. Can we test run this in our classroom? Are they ready? And we're like, they're almost done, you know? And then when we do implement things into the classroom, they're like, thank you. It really brought the unit together. And we've already had schools reach out like, hey, you're going to do this again then next year, right? And so it's like, yeah, we'll be there. So it's exciting to just have that excitement. It gets you hyped up.
One of the teachers who's working with Kaya to explore even more opportunities for collaboration is Rich Staniec.
So I teach 6th grade science. This is my 25th year teaching. I've taught from kindergarten all the way to postgraduate.
Rich works at Upper Perkiomen Middle School in Pennsburg, Pennsylvania. And he says 6th graders are special.
Well, one, they have a lot of enthusiasm for learning, so they're still excited about things in school. So when we do labs, kids are like, this is awesome, can't wait to come to science today. So they're also old enough and mature enough to be able to do a lot of the activities, but they're also not afraid to have a good time and be a little kid and just like, geek out on stuff.
Geek out on stuff, just like their teacher.
I love myself learning about the world around me. I just love learning how things work. I was always that kid that got in trouble for asking too many questions, like, well, why? What's this do? I always took stuff apart at home. I was always messing with stuff, trying to figure out how it worked. So the reason why I like teaching is because I can bring those hands-on kind of like explaining the world to the kids that are in my classroom.
Rich first got involved with outreach programs while working in Philadelphia. His middle school at the time partnered with the University of Pennsylvania's Penn Engineering.
The kids could see meaningfully like how this stuff is applied in the real world. And they could see a path for themselves. And I think the college students really liked giving back and kind of like getting other kids inspired to do what they do.
He knows well the value of making that connection between kids and the world around them. In fact, that's exactly how he teaches science.
I mean, you get so much of the kids in the middle school age, like, why is this important? When am I ever going to use this? How does this affect my everyday life? And it's like, that's literally what engineering does. It talks about how we use science concepts in everyday life to solve everyday problems.
Rich has brought students to the one-day Spring Choices program for the past 2 years. And both times, it's been the same story. The girls dove right into workshops run by Lehigh faculty and students, workshops that are built around real-world problems like how to clean dirty water. And at the end of the day, they'd tell Rich all about what they did, what worked, what didn't. And in fact, some of the girls loved it so much, they came back to campus for the week-long day camp in the summer.
They couldn't wait to come back and tell me about it, actually. They were super excited to come back and tell me all the cool things that they were working on.
Lehigh is working with teachers like Rich to expand how the university can serve schools like his. For Rich, that could look like Lehigh students mentoring his kids during their engineering projects, where maybe the older students could help the younger ones think through different approaches to problem solving. They could make regular visits over the course of the project, and then come to the 6th graders' final presentations.
But just a chance to meet with kids like periodically along their engineering process of like, hey, we're trying to solve this problem. Here's the problem that we're having. We're having trouble. And having an expert kind of like sit in with them is like super valuable.
He'd also love to get his class involved with the different student groups on campus, especially when he's teaching topics on things like bridge building and magnetic levitation cars.
So having like one of the groups where they could come over once or twice and talk to the kids, or have our kids go to Lehigh to see what does it look like on the next level. Like, you're working with real cars now, not just model cars, and you're going to be the people building real bridges now. Let's look at your testing machines and let's break some stuff and see how that works. So seeing like what it actually looks like in the real world, having the kids visit them and maybe having some of the students visit us, I think would be great.
So this is why Kaya says she's hyped up and why she loves her job. She is part of a team of Lehigh faculty and students.
We've been calling it the STEM Squad.
That's helping local schools connect to Lehigh and helping Lehigh find even more ways to give back to the community. It's early days yet for the STEM Squad.
It's a baby. It's new. we're still learning.
But there is so much potential. So many ways the university can spark a child's curiosity and empower them to believe that they can do the coolest things. That's it for today's show. Thanks so much to Kaya, Anna, and Jennifer, and all the faculty and students who make up Lehigh's STEM Squad, for the important, life-changing work that you're doing for the next generation of engineers. For more information about all the academic programs at the P.C. Rawson College of Engineering and Applied Science, and to find our show, head to engineering.lehigh.edu. Music in this episode is by Blue Dot Sessions. You can send us story suggestions or feedback on X at Rawson Podcast. I'm your host and producer, Christine Fennessy. See you next time.